Real quick before we jump into the books, guys, I just have to show off this gorgeous little rose my friend Michelle sent me. It's in a little Beauty and the Beast bell jar, and the rose itself is made out of pages from a book. Thank you so much, Michelle. It's gonna look perfect back on my bookshelf right next to Belle. Everybody, it's Emma here, the Bookish Princess. I hope you have a cup of coffee around, grab a nice calming beverage. Today I'm going to be taking you through what I've been reading this past month in June, also what I'm planning to read in July. I've got my stack right here, got a couple library books. First up, I've got The Child from the Sea by Elizabeth Goudge. Just a couple weeks ago, I did a video about Elizabeth Goudge, chatting about this book. I've been doing it as a buddy read. This is kind of a hefty one. It's 600 pages, and I'm only 100 pages away from finishing, so I feel like I'm almost there. Elizabeth Goudge is one of my favorite authors. Her writing is just so rich. Her characters are so incredibly strong. The protagonist of The Child from the Sea is no exception. This is about Lucy Walter. I'll read you to the back here. Born in 17th century Wales, she was widely considered to have been the mistress of King Charles II, though there are some who believe she was secretly his wife. Elizabeth Goudge takes what little we know about this mysterious woman, and she weaves history and imagination together into a fascinating portrait of what Lucy's life could have been as the proud and beautiful secret wife of Charles II. Lucy is just an absolutely incredible character. She's so strong, she's so herself always, you know, like she just pursues her own way and doesn't pay too much attention about what other people think of her. There are so many amazing quotations in here. I'm sure I'll be putting some in my blog post because I always like to do a little quote collection from each month over on apinchofpixiedust.com. But here, should I try to find one? So Lucy has gone to a sort of royal gathering and she's been sort of standing off to the side. So Charles comes over and asks her, you know, what she's been looking at. He says, "Waiting near a crowd of people, what do you hear and see?" Her answer surprised him. "I try to hear the echo of a song they have brought from far, and sing within themselves, all the while they chatter nonsense, and to catch on their faces a glimpse of what they will be at their journey's end. Sometimes on first waking I have found myself with a singing, rising up all around me, but before I have understood the words, the thread has broken and has vanished. And that glimpse, it comes like light on a face and then is gone. But if you have once seen it, I do not think you could ever dislike the face it visited, not even if that face afterwards became evil. I think that evil is not immortal, but that the light is." Elizabeth Goudge just treats these like big, giant metaphysical concepts of, you know, good and evil in such an amazing way, really unique to anything else I've ever read. This book has so many gorgeous insights and glimpses like that one I just read, but I do have to admit it is also kind of heavy, quite difficult to get through, especially towards the end, just because of the subject matter. So if you don't want spoilers, you should probably skip ahead, although I feel like because this is a historical fiction, it kind of already is spoiled because just from the back of the book, you know who Lucy is, you know a little bit of what her story was. So of course, when Charles II becomes king, this is all during the English Civil War with Cromwell, and he has been driven out of England, so he's in Paris and Rotterdam, and he keeps his marriage with Lucy a secret because there's a lot of pressure on, like, will he be able to regain the throne? Like, if he makes an advantageous marriage, will he be in a better position to regain power? So obviously, Lucy is in this hugely, hugely frustrating position where she knows that she's Charles's wife, but everyone else around her thinks she's his mistress, and it's just, oh, really kind of breaks your heart. It makes you so frustrated to read, but there are those really beautiful redeeming passages, and redemption is actually the big theme of this book. The way suffering is never for nothing. Even if it looks like you went through all this pain and suffering and nothing came out of it, that's only because we lack the vision in this life to see the true ends of things. So CS, another favorite Elizabeth Goudge to add to my shelf. This book is actually kind of random. My brother got it for me for Christmas, but it arrived super late. I'm honestly amazed I never heard of it myself because it's so exactly up my alley. It's called Jane Austen's England by Karen Quint. Now my brother actually found this on Kickstarter because apparently it was originally published, I think, in the Netherlands, so like it was in Dutch, and so they did a Kickstarter to get it translated into English, and it did actually finally come out. It has all these amazing pictures. So this book is basically a guide to England for the Jane Austen fan. So it has all sorts of sites from Jane Austen's life herself and also from the movie movies and also from the books. When I've gone to England in the past, obviously I have wanted to see Jane Austen's sites from the movies, from the books, from her own life. I do have a Jane Austen's Guide to London book that is really fun and really good, but this is all of England, and I've never come across anything quite this thorough. Even online, when I've like tried to Google, you know, oh, where should the Jane Austen fan visit, I feel like it's kind of splintered. Like there are shorter lists, or like there's a list on Wikipedia of like where things were filmed, but this is really detailed, and I'm just really excited to just delve into it. And also, I'm sure to use it on future trips to England. Speaking of Jane Austen, I feel like it's been way too long since I read a Jane Austen, so I started Northanger Abbey. This is the lovely Vintage Classics edition. I just love these covers. Northanger Abbey has a little bit of a different flavor than the other books because it is kind of a parody of a Gothic novel, but it is still so fantastic. Also, it has my #1 favorite Austen hero. I am Team Tilney all the way. So I went to the library the other day and just found a couple things, just sort of perusing the shelves. I think it's really fun to go to the library and just kind of wander and sort of be surprised by what you find rather than having like a list of what you need to get. One thing I found was called Country Notes in Wartime. This is by Vita Sackville-West, who was buddies with Virginia Woolf. I'd never read anything by Vita Sackville-West, but her name as an author kind of popped out at me from the shelf, and I really loved the Country Notes in Wartime. It was definitely country notes. Like it was all about country living, farming, gardening. So many really cool insights. Of course, some observations on what was going on with the war. She's constantly quoting other like gardening books and other authors in general, so it was a really quick, slim read, but I really enjoyed it. When wandering the poetry shelves at the library, I came across Cooper. It's spelled Cowper, but I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Cooper. He was one of Jane Austen's favorite poets. You have snatches of his poetry throughout her books. I've read a couple of his poems before, but I've never really dived deep into them, so I thought it'd be fun just to kind of give a look. In this collection, at least, these are like long poems, you know, like not short, not like short sonnets. These are like page after page after page, which I suppose makes sense because in Jane Austen's time, books were like the YouTube of the day. This was how you kind of relaxed in the evening and took a break, and so of course you wouldn't want a really short poem, you'd want a longer poem that could maybe amuse you throughout the evening. So definitely some beautiful writing in here, and I feel like you can sort of see his influence on Jane a little bit. Like there's a sort of similarity in their voices, so you can sometimes see things she was inspired by, which is really cool. You guys, I have been wanting to read Coriolanus forever. I know I mentioned it in like a TBR video, and I honestly don't even want to know when it was because I'm sure it was months and months ago, and I just couldn't get my hands on it. My mom owns a lot of Arden Shakespeare's, and so I steal them from her very often, but I don't think we have Coriolanus. If we do, it's buried somewhere. Maybe I should buy it and add it to our collection because I really like the cover here, and I just love these Arden editions. They are by far and away the best Shakespeare out there because the footnotes are so incredibly smart and so detailed. They don't just like define a word, they like talk about that word in the context of Shakespeare's time, in the context of other plays and other writings that Shakespeare would have read. They talk about what other scholars had to say about Shakespeare, so there are sometimes even like little sort of arguments in the footnotes, like, oh, this scholar says this, but I think this. Honestly, even without the footnotes, Shakespeare is just so great. He expresses things like nobody else expresses things. It can be difficult for us to read Shakespeare because our English is so different from his English, and yet I feel like there are things in here that like would have been difficult even for people of his time, you know, like that he just made up words and did what he wanted and really challenges you to look at things in a new way. I was Googling a Shakespearean quotation recently. I think it was time in the hour runs through the roughest day. There's a book called The Diary of a Provincial Lady by E.M. Delafield, and she quotes that all the time, and I was just wondering where it was from, so I Googled it, and it's from Macbeth. But when I Googled it, it came up with like this original text and a modern text, and like the modern text was horrible, like just terrible. Like the modern text isn't Shakespeare at all. It's like somebody else explaining Shakespeare. It is difficult to understand Shakespeare sometimes, but I feel like the challenge of getting there is part of the beauty of Shakespeare. Like, I feel like if you just read the modern text, you would miss like all of the good stuff in Shakespeare. So Anyway, I haven't actually talked about Coriolanus at all yet, have I? This is a tragedy. Coriolanus was a Roman general. He was a pretty bloody Roman general, so this one is definitely pretty violent. It's tragedy, so it's not going to be a happy ending, but just so much gorgeous writing in here, and the way he expresses things. I wish sometimes that we talked more like Shakespeare, because it's just so creative and so fantastic. You really can't beat it. I'm sure I'll be putting tons of these quotes in my quote collection blog post, so definitely hop over there for more. I'll also got some Kafka. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I hope I'm pronouncing everything right in this video. I should look things up more beforehand, but sometimes you run out of time. This is The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. I haven't read anything by him before, so I'm really excited to check this out. So I recently did a book outlet order, so I have a couple books coming that I'm sure will be added to my July TBR, but I'm sure I'll be doing a quick unboxing for that, so I won't tell you about those books now. If you guys have been having a great reading month, as always, I would love to hear down below what you've been enjoying. I feel like I get so many great suggestions from you guys. I have a list a mile long of books that I need to get a hold of, like just from the comments. I hope you're having a great summer so far. Can you believe we're like halfway through 2017? Kinda crazy. I feel like there was something else I was gonna tell you guys about. Oh, so there's this app that I've been hearing a lot about from some of my favorite YouTubers. It's called Anchor. It's like basically you can create your own little radio station and like people can call in, you can add music, and it seems kind of fun. Thought maybe I'd give it a try, do some broadcasts every now and then. I don't know, I'm still kind of figuring it out, but it seems like a kind of fun concept. So if you're on Anchor already, let me know. And if you want to check out my Anchor, I'll leave the link in the description. I think it's anchor.fm/bookishprincess. So this is not sponsored or anything. Maybe I'll give it a try. I don't know, it could be a fun spot to talk about books and Disney and all of that. As always, I hope you guys are having a magical day. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye, guys.